Why do you think Americans are so fascinated by the royal family, and Harry and Meghan in particular?
I really do root for Meghan and Harry Sussex, obviously. You can tell that when you're looking at my content. But it is because of a couple of things. One is she's an American, so I feel connected to her because of that. And just thinking about how a regular American might go over and marry a prince, and to have a powerful family, literally the most powerful family in a country, not protect you when another powerful entity, aka the media, is coming after you all the time because that sells newspapers, that would piss me off. And that's why it does piss me off, because she doesn't deserve that. And yes, they have done it with all of the royal ex-girlfriends. They did it with Diana. She's not new in a sense, but also the vicious way that they went after her and the racial way that they went after her, those were new and completely insane and bonkers, and it shouldn't be allowed to be put out as news. So if because of all that, she does sometimes come across as inauthentic, I can see that there is a warmth and kindness there, even if there are some inauthenticities, like just when she says, this is so easy, and some other stuff like that, that I don't love, but I can see why she would put up a barrier because of everything that she went through with this family and this country coming after her. So yeah, I wouldn't want to be my full authentic self all the time just so that they could rip me apart. So I just feel like I understand her from this side of the pond, as in, this is insane. I can't believe that an entire country tried to take this woman down in this day and age after what happened to his own mother. And that's why.
I gotta tell you, as an American, the more I hear about this Harry dude, the more I just like the guy. And I know that probably pisses off all the Brits like Piers Morgan and I don't know, David Beckham, whoever the hell else. I know they take their royal family very seriously over there. But as American, we find the whole thing kind of silly. I'm just going to be honest with you. All right. As the country that left that monarchy to start our own democracy, the whole thing seems ridiculous. All right. It's Game of Thrones without the dragons. Or as Harry said in this interview, the British tabloids is the damn dragon. That's the dragon that eats that family alive. Hell, it probably was one of the reasons his mother isn't alive anymore. The freaking tabloids were following her in that tunnel that night in Paris, right? And he's got a beef with the British tabloids. They've been after him his whole life. And this dude's been the black sheep of the family. His brother was the older brother, the taller one, the golden child, right? His book is called Spare because he was a spare kid. You don't need the second son unless something really goes down. He's a spare just because of his birth order, right? Doesn't matter how hard you worked, what you did to earn your spot, to earn your keep. It's just you were first in line. This dude went off and drove Apache helicopters, fought in the war, served in the military, partied like a rock star. And then he grabbed himself a beautiful American girl. Yeah, she was divorced. Yeah, she was biracial. So what? But in this ridiculous, hierarchical, outdated, absurd, twisted family, that was not going to fly. And it wasn't going to fly for the British press. And that press and that family and that hierarchy was exposed because there was some bigotry going on. There was some backhanded dealings going on. You know, he had this evil stepmother he had to freaking deal with. Poor kid loses his mother at 12 years old. The best his pops can do is give him a little pat on the knee. I don't know, man. I don't follow this stuff super close, but I did watch this interview because I've always had a thing. I liked watching Harry party like a rock star and just buck the system which needed to be bucked. And now that Charles is king and everybody loved the Queen Elizabeth, obviously, because she did her thing for such a long time, but she's gone now. So maybe we should just put this whole damn thing to bed. I'm just a dumb American. What the hell do I know? But from across the pond, the whole thing looks absurd. I don't know how many monarchies are left in the world, But man, come on. England, getting to the 21st century. Enough is enough with this inbred nonsense. I got your back, Harry. Don't worry. Chill out here in Cali. We got you, man.
William just wants to control Harry for the rest of his life. That's why he hates Meghan for loving H. And I think that is truth too. That also holds weight because he, at some point and many times, even in the book, Harry has expressed how William has weaponized his role as the next, heir to the throne against his own brother. He has utilized and abused his power as the heir to the throne. And once he saw that he no longer had control of his brother, he started losing it to the point that he went to his house looking for Meghan because she took away the control that he had over his brother. I think part of it is also a form of resentment against Harry. Harry has had more freedom. Harry was able to marry the woman that he loved. Harry was able to create a separate life from the royal life. Harry was able to enlist twice for when he was in the army. Harry had a lot of advantage in terms of he was able to do pretty much what he wanted to do because he's not the next heir to the throne, Unfortunately, William never had that type of freedom. Ever since he was born and raised and trained to be the next king. And that has been engraved in his mind since he was a baby. His life has been controlled even up to the point when he married. Everything was so micromanaged and so controlled. And when you are so tied down to an institution like that, it drains you. It drains the life out of you. It makes you bitter. It makes you unhappy. Harry didn't have to grow up with that kind of pressure of, you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't say this, you can't say that because you're going to be the next king of England. He grew up with abuse. He grew up with neglect. He grew up with trauma. Both of them had their own fair share when it comes to this whole ordeal. Do I think it's jealousy? Absolutely. William is jealous of his brother and his freedom and the fact that he got to do everything he wanted to do. The fact that he got out of it and was able to create a life out of it, out of the whole pressure, that whole institution. Freedom. Harry got freedom. William will never get that.
Sometimes high-profile people are put into categories like protagonist, antagonist, good guy, bad guy, especially when one side decides to use public relations as a combat sport. When you support a high-profile person, they normally have character traits that you admire. For example, charity, kindness, independence, greed, envy, taxpayer dependence. The audience takes sides. There are simps for villains, and then the hero and heroine also have their own champions. Sussexes, just like Princess Diana, will always be the heroes in the British royal family, and the rest of them, those who love to have a wretched partnership with the tabloid press, will always be the bad guys. Just take a look at the comment section under posts about Harry and Meghan. If someone is not actively deleting them, the bots take over. And who's paying for the bots? If they're coming from Kensington and Buckingham Palace, then that would be the British taxpayer. I read a bit about it. Check my subject links and bye.
Oh, here we go.
Do you say herbs or herbs here?
We say herbs. You do? Keep saying herbs.
He's very elegant.
If Harry and Meghan don't matter, then why can't the media leave them alone? Squaddies, somebody help me out because this math just isn't adding up. Every other day, somebody jumps on TV or writes a column saying, Harry and Meghan are finished. Nobody cares anymore. The public has moved on. Really? Then why am I waking up every morning to another Harry and Meghan headline? Seriously? At this point, I could probably set my alarm clock using the tabloids. You already know what's coming. Breakfast, Harry and Meghan. Lunch, Harry and Meghan. Evening news, Harry and Meghan again. Come on now. Here's what cracks me up. These same outlets keep trying to convince people that Harry and Meghan have no audience, while making sure they are the first ones posting every tiny update about them. Does that even make sense? Let's put royal drama aside for a second and talk regular life. Imagine you've got a little burger shop in your neighborhood. There's one burger sitting on the menu that supposedly nobody buys. Nobody wants it, nobody talks about it. According to everyone, it's a complete flop. Are you honestly going to keep putting that burger on the front page of the menu every single day for 10 years? Absolutely not. You'd replace it before the week was over. Businesses don't survive by pushing products people ignore. They push whatever keeps customers walking through the door. Media works exactly the same way. These companies aren't running charities. They've got bills to pay, they've got staff salaries, studios, cameras, websites, advertisers. All of that costs money. So every morning they're asking one question: what's going to bring people in today? And somehow, some way, Harry and Meghan keep making that list. That's the part nobody wants to say out loud. Editors aren't sitting around thinking, let's lose money today. No chance. If people really stopped caring, those stories would disappear faster than free food at a family barbecue. Instead, they keep coming. Another headline, another debate, another panel discussion, another podcast, another exclusive, another so-called royal expert explaining Harry and Meghan for the 9,000th time. It's almost like they need Harry and Meghan more than Harry and Meghan need them. Now that's funny. And let's be honest, we've all met that one person who keeps saying, I don't care. 5 minutes later, they're asking, so what happened next? That's not ignoring somebody, that's keeping tabs. Big difference. The funniest part is that the loudest critics sometimes become the biggest promoters without even realizing it. Every complaint creates another conversation. Every angry headline sends more people searching. Every television debate makes somebody else curious enough to click. It's like standing outside a movie theater yelling, don't watch this film. Meanwhile, you've accidentally created the biggest line around the block. Congratulations, you just did the marketing for free. That's why I always laugh whenever someone says Harry and Meghan have become irrelevant. Irrelevant people don't dominate news cycles. Irrelevant people don't keep television producers busy. Irrelevant people don't have reporters chasing every appearance, every interview, every business move, and every family photo. That's not how the world works. Roll your eyes every time their names come up. It doesn't change the simple reality sitting right in front of us. Attention is the currency of today's media, and after all these years, Harry and Meghan is still one of the biggest investments in that business. So the next time somebody tells you nobody cares, don't argue. Just point at the headlines, point at the TV shows, point at the endless articles, because actions always tell the truth. And right now, the media's actions are saying something completely different from their words. Squaddies, here's something that always makes me laugh. People argue all day long on the internet. One person says Meghan is a huge success. Another says she's completely finished. Somebody else writes a 10-page essay in the comments explaining why she's this or that. Cool. Meanwhile, the ratings are just sitting there like, I wasn't asked for my opinion. That's the funny part. Numbers don't wake up angry. Numbers don't have favorite royals. Numbers don't scroll through social media looking for arguments. They simply count. Who watched, who pressed play, who stayed tuned. That's it. And that's exactly why television executives sleep just fine at night. They aren't sitting in a meeting saying, guys, Twitter is upset today. No, they're looking at one screen. How many people watched? That's the only language the entertainment business truly understands. Let's keep it real. Imagine you've got a little football match. Before kickoff, you've got a handful of people outside yelling, this game is going to be terrible. Fair enough. Then you walk inside, the stadium is packed. People are buying drinks, the crowd is singing, the atmosphere is electric. Now tell me, are you going to cancel next week's match because 5 people complained outside the gate? Absolutely not. You're already counting the ticket money. That's exactly how television works. A few loud voices can dominate social media for an afternoon, but streaming platforms, they're counting millions of viewers. Those are two completely different scoreboards. And here's something regular people understand better than anyone. You vote with your remote. You vote with your phone. You vote every single time you press play. Nobody is standing in your living room forcing you to watch anything. If people are watching Meghan, it's because they decided to. Simple. The funniest part, sometimes the people shouting the loudest end up helping the numbers anyway. I'm only watching so I can complain. Really? Well, thanks for the view. The network isn't asking whether you smiled, frowned, or rolled your eyes. You watched. Mission accomplished. That's like buying a front row ticket to a concert just so you can spend the whole night saying you don't like the singer. The artist is probably thinking, appreciate the support. You already paid. That's why I always say the internet and real life are cousins, not twins. Online, 500 angry comments can make it feel like the whole world is upset. Then the ratings come out, and suddenly millions of people have quietly been watching all along. No drama, no shouting, just watching. That's real life. At the end of the day, scoreboards are brutally honest. They don't clap, they don't boo, they don't pick sides. They simply record who showed up. And year after year, project after project, Harry and Meghan keep attracting audiences big enough to keep the cameras rolling and the headlines coming. That's the part nobody wants to explain away, because opinions come and go. The numbers, they just keep counting.
Squaddies, here's what I think a lot of people miss. This story stopped being just about royalty a long time ago. Forget the crowns for a minute. Forget the palaces, forget all the fancy titles. At its heart, this is about two people saying, we're going to live life our way. Let's not pretend that's an ordinary thing to do. Most people know exactly what that feels like. Maybe you've walked away from a job that was draining the life out of you. Maybe your family thought you were crazy for starting your own business. Maybe everybody told you, don't do it, stay where it's safe. Yet something inside you kept saying, nah, I want more than this. That's a feeling money can't buy. Harry did something a lot of people only dream about. He walked away from a life that looked perfect on the outside, but clearly wasn't working for him. Now think about that. Most of us can't even quit a job without 3 cousins calling to ask if we've lost our minds. Imagine leaving one of the most famous institutions on earth. That's pressure. Then he and Meghan packed up, crossed an ocean, and started building something from scratch. No instruction manual, no guaranteed success, no magic button, just 2 people betting on themselves. And let's be honest, starting over is scary. Anybody who's opened a small business, switched careers, or moved to a new city knows exactly what I'm talking about. You lie awake at night wondering if you've made the biggest mistake of your life. Then you wake up the next morning and keep going anyway. That's courage. Here's the funny part. Some people expected Harry and Meghan to disappear the second they left. Instead, they kept launching projects, they kept supporting charities, they kept creating opportunities. And somehow, the conversation got even louder. Now, isn't that something? It's almost like people are fascinated when someone refuses to stay inside the little box everyone built for them. Regular folks understand this better than anyone. Nobody wants somebody else writing their life story. Nobody wants to spend their whole life living according to somebody else's expectations. At some point, you've got to ask yourself, am I living my dream or somebody else's? That's a question millions of people wrestle with every single day. Maybe that's why Harry and Meghan still get so much attention. People see more than a royal couple. They see 2 people taking a chance, sometimes winning, sometimes getting criticized, but always moving forward. And here's the lesson that sticks with me. Life gets a whole lot more interesting the moment you stop asking permission to be yourself. People will always have opinions. Some will clap for you. Some will criticize you before you've even started. That's life. But if you're always living according to somebody else's script, you'll never find out what your own story could have been. Harry and Meghan chose to pick up the pen and write a different chapter. That's exactly why the world is still talking about them today. Squaddies, can we have an honest conversation for a second? Because I don't think Harry and Meghan are the biggest obsession anymore. I think the media is. Seriously, watch what happens every single time these 2 breathe. New project, breaking news. New interview, panel discussion. 1 photograph, 20 opinion pieces. A business move, 3 days of television debates. At this point, if Harry sneezed, somebody would probably invite 5 royal experts onto a morning show to explain what it really means. Come on now. And here's the funniest part. The same people telling us nobody cares anymore somehow know every little detail. They know where Harry went, they know what Meghan wore, they know who smiled, who waved, who didn't wave, who blinked, who didn't blink. Hold on, I thought you said you were interested. That reminds me of that one person who keeps saying, that TV show is rubbish, but somehow, every Monday morning they're the first one talking about last night's episode. Wait a minute, if it's so terrible, why haven't you missed a single season? Somebody's not telling the whole story. Regular people see this every day. When you truly lose interest in something, you move on. You don't spend hours talking about it, you don't keep checking for updates, you don't build your whole week around discussing it. Life's too busy for that. Think about it. Have you ever stopped following a football team you no longer cared about? You don't wake up every morning checking their score. You don't watch every press conference. You don't argue with strangers online about them. You just move on. Simple. That's why this whole thing makes me laugh. Every article complaining about Harry and Meghan somehow creates another article. Every TV debate leads to another TV debate. Every angry headline turns into another round of discussion. It's like trying to put out a fire with a bucket full of gasoline. Wrong plan. And let's not forget something else. Media companies aren't spending all this time because they're bored. They're doing it because people keep clicking, people keep watching, people keep sharing. If the audience disappeared tomorrow, those stories would disappear right along with it. Business doesn't work on feelings, it works on attention. That's the product. So every headline saying Harry and Meghan are finished ends up proving the exact opposite. Funny how that works. At the end of the day, it is evident that millions and millions of people support Harry and Meghan. After all these years, one thing is staring everybody right in the face. The conversation still comes back to the same 2 people. Not for a week, not for a month, year after year. That isn't what irrelevant looks like. That's what lasting influence looks like. And judging by the headlines, the cameras, and the endless debates, the media still can't quit talking about them.